Welcome to class. Glad you could stop by and join me. This is another yoga flow class, basic overall yoga practice, very similar, again, to what I would teach at my studio here in Pacifica, or, any other studio in your neighborhood, in your area that you might attend. Also kind of a real common, typical style you would find on a lot of other YouTube classes or DVDs, things like that. Just starting slow, building up, warming up, and then adding in these flows, what we call the yasas or sun salutations. And the main thing to remember with those is we try to link up the breath with the movement. So each inhale is a pose and each exhale. And I'm usually really mindful, really pay a lot of attention to cueing the breath to remind you. And again, just a quick refresh. You breathe in through the nose and then out through the nose. So that helps us breathe more efficiently, uses less energy, and lets us stay in the practice longer, not get tired, not get out of breath, etc. Couple props that might be handy, a yoga block if you have one, variety of times. You may or may not want it. And the later portion of class, towards the end of class, last few minutes, there'll be a couple of seated poses, seated postures where it might be nice to have a firm folded blanket or a firm cushion to sit on, but those are both optional. All right, you'll be able to do the whole practice without either, but having props on hand, if you have them, just really helps the practice, helps your practice. All right, let's come over to our mats, and we're going to start this particular class in child's pose, which is a resting pose, but we're going to make it a little more active, pretty quick in. And for this particular child's pose, come down to all fours, hands and knees before we drop in. Walk the knees wide so the knees kind of open out to a V and the big toes touch. All right, if this isn't comfortable for your hips or your knees, you're welcome to bring the knees back to parallel facing forward. But usually, actually, for a lot of students, this is actually a little more comfortable because it's a little more spacious in the hips. But if it doesn't work, change the position. Then you're slowly going to start to sink the hips back towards the heels, and you're going to crawl the hands forward. And you're going to start to bow the forehead and chest down. Maybe the forehead comes all the way to the ground, or maybe not. Here is a pose. If you're straining to get the forehead to the ground, you could get a block under the forehead to rest the forehead on. And it's okay if it's up in midair. It just might be more comfortable to have it resting on something. All right, let's take several breaths here. So again, resting pose, child's pose. But we're trying to make this just a bit more active. We do that two ways. First, by engaging the breath, deepening that breath I mentioned, breathing in and out. And then also beginning to gently stretch the sit bones back towards the heels and beginning to crawl, if you can, the fingers forward a little more. So that creates, deepens the stretch, lengthens the spine, starts to stretch out the upper body and the lower body as well. We are here in this child's pose for just two more breaths, but know that this is a pose you can return to throughout this class to rest if you need in this wide leg stance, or again, knees parallel. Take one more breath here. And then you're carefully going to lift the chest up. You're going to walk the hands in till they're about shoulder distance. And now move the knees so they're parallel, so they're about hips distance facing the front of the mat. You're going to keep the right hand on your mat and you're going to spin the left arm to the sky into a twist. See if you can turn, look at the left hand, but be careful with the neck. Watch that left hand. You're slowly going to reach in under, thread and under the right arm. You're going to lower onto the left outer shoulder side of the head, and you're going to keep the hips high. So not sticking them back like we did just a moment ago in child's pose. They stay higher, more at a 90-degree angle. This is thread the needle. Another shoulder stretch, but also a chest heart opener. You can keep the right hand on the mat, elbow gently bent in line with the head, or you can begin to extend that right arm long by the ear, maybe crawl the fingers out. Other option is to sweep the right arm behind the back. Maybe the right fingers find that left outer hip or the left thigh. We call this half bind. One more thing you can do if you want to explore. You can start to straighten the right leg, press into the ball of the foot so the heel is lifted, and you start to engage that leg. Take 2 more breaths here. However far or not you've taken this thread the needle position. One more deep breath. All right, if you lifted that right knee, you're slowly going to lower it back to the mat. You're going to take the right hand back to the mat in line with the chest. You're going to push down through the hand. You're slowly going to lift up and you're going to unwind back to that easy twist and then bring the left hand back down into tabletop and setting up for side 2. So first we open up, watch the neck. You don't have to look up at the hand if your neck is tight, but if you can, watch the right hand. Be slow here and begin to reach it, thread it under the left side. Come on to the right side of the head, shoulder. Again, those hips stay high. It might be nice to tuck the toes, lift the heels, gives you a little more stability, maybe helps remind you to keep those hips high, but otherwise feet flat. Once again, the left hand can just stay right where it is. You can stretch along by the ear, open up the shoulder a little more, or you can sweep it behind you and maybe the fingers tap the right thigh or the hip. Open the right side of the chest up to the sky a bit more if you can. Last add-on, if you want, would be to stretch the left leg long, tuck the toes, lift the heel, and start to engage all the muscles of that left leg. We're here just one more breath. All right, once again, unwinding from this slowly. Drop the left knee down if you lifted it. Take the left hand to the mat. Keep the chin a little tucked as you unwind and bring the right arm back up to that twist. And then bring the right hand back down to the mat. From here, coming into cat-cow pose. Round the spine, tuck the chin, belly to spine. And then exhale, open the chest forward, broaden across the collarbones. Keep going in this manner a few rounds to warm up the spine. So again, even though this is a slightly faster paced class than some of the other ones on this channel that focus, say, on the hips or the hamstrings or the glutes, we still start the warm up slowly and take our time, not jump right into the most challenging part of the class. Take 2 more easy, slow rounds here of cat-cow, a really excellent warm up for the spine. One more time, gaze forward. All right, from here, come to more of a neutral position in your tabletop. So kind of look down between the hands. Let's start on the left side with the left leg up, and then you're going to start to circle that knee and hip around to the left. As you do this, try to keep the right side motionless. Try to keep it really still. And then let's circle that left knee inward. Just kind of working on some hip mobility, hip fluency here. One more circle. All right, drop the left knee down, lift the right knee up, and then start to circle it around to the right, warming up the hip as well as the knee and the inner thigh, giving it a couple of nice big full circles, and then circle inward towards the left. So we get the whole range of motion going there. One more breath. All right, drop the right knee down. Let's take the left leg long back of the mat, tuck the toes. And now all you're going to do is just lift that leg up and down. A couple of times, just a little toe taps. Flex that left foot, and that's going to start to engage and wake up the hamstring and the glute. One more. All right, keep the leg lifted, flex the foot a little harder, and pulse here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower the left foot to the mat, rebend the knee, come back to tabletop. Take the right leg long, tuck the toe, and then just starting with those little toe taps. So you don't want to lift that right leg too high. Keep it fairly low to the ground because the higher you lift, then you may find yourself leaning over to the left. One more. All right, keep the leg lifted, flex that foot a little more. Last part here, pulse 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the foot down, drop the knee down. From here, press down through the palms, tuck the toes, lift the knees into a high plank position, and then take the hips up and find our first downward dog of this practice. So we're not going to stay here too long because we're going to start to move and synchronize and breathe a little bit, get a little warmth going through the body. From here, from downward dog, you're going to walk the hands to your feet back in the mat. You're going to rise all the way up to stand, and as you do, circle the arms up, let the palms join, and then exhale, fold right back down to the mat and walk yourself right back out to high plank. So these are plank walkouts, and we're going to move through several of these to really completely warm up. Walk the hands to the feet, back in the mat. You're in a brief forward fold. Rise up, and as you do, circle the arms up, lengthen up, let the palms tap. Exhale, dive right back down to the ground, and as the hands touch, you walk right back out to high plank. Keep going. Hands come to the back of the mat. You're in a brief forward fold. You rise up top, lengthen up. Exhale. Dive right back down and walk the hands back out to high plank. Just one more. Walk the hands to the back, forward fold. Rise up, lengthen up, palms meet. Exhale, fold back down. Walk back out to plank pose. Hold here just a breath. And now let the hips rise back up to downward dog. And now we'll hold here a few breaths in downward dog. So now let's take time to really set this pose up. Focus on the alignment. Hands again are about shoulder distance. Have a little soft bend in the elbows so you're not locking the elbows out. Find, if you can here, a little external rotation of the upper biceps, as though someone had their hands on your upper biceps and we're using the hands to gently rotate the skin out. The feet are about hips distance. You can go a little wider. Have the knees a little or a lot bent, but do try to stretch the heels down towards the ground. So you want to create in this pose a V shape, an upside down letter V. So the hips reach up towards the sky and the chest melts down towards the ground. The neck is neutral to protect the neck. So we're gazing back, say, at the tips of the toes here. One more breath. All right, from here, bend the knees and look to the top of the mat, and then walk to the top. Keep the feet hips distance. Press the palms to the shins, and as you do, flatten the back and gaze forward. And then as you exhale, come back to that forward fold that we did before, but let's hold here a few breaths. This is a pose where the block could come in handy. You could have your hands on one block or two if you're straining to reach the ground. If your hamstrings or low back feel tight, using the blocks, super helpful. Otherwise, bend the knees as much as you need to. Anytime here. Let the spine hang down, crown of the head reaches down towards the ground. Maybe sway the hips a little side to side. Good pose here for stretching out the hamstrings, decompressing the spine. One more breath from here. Pop the hands to the hips, keep the knees bent, chin a little tucked, and slowly take your time. Begin to roll yourself up until you're standing tall at the top of the mat in mountain pose. From here, gaze forward, reach the arms to the sky. You're going to bend the elbows here into cactus arms, and as you do, open the chest a little to the sky, a little gentle standing back bend. And now you're going to curl in, and as you do, cross one arm over the other, hug yourself, maybe hold on to the shoulder blades, drop the chin to the chest. Inhale, you're going to open back up with those cactus arms, gaze up towards the sky. Exhale, curl in and cross the opposite arm in front. Give yourself a hug. Keep going here. Open up. So this is cow pose. And then exhale, you round in, and it's cat. Same thing we did on all fours, hands and knees. A few more. Inhale, open up. Broaden a little more across the chest. Exhale, curl in. Give yourself that hug. Two more times. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, round in. And just one more. Open up wide. Exhale, round in small. This time, stand up tall, reach the arms overhead. You're going to hold on to the left wrist with the right fingers. And now let's take a side bend over to your right, bump the left hip out to the side. As you inhale, rise tall, switch the grip, and take that side bend over to your left. Rise up, release the wrist, and exhale, fold back down to the ground. Palms to shins, flatten the spine, gaze forward. Exhale, fold straight down the legs. Rise up as you inhale, arms reach to the sky, palms connect. With your exhale, release the arms by the sides, roll the shoulders back, gaze forward, mountain pose. Inhale, reach the arms overhead again. This time we're going to interlace the fingers. And as you do, you're going to reach the palms to the sky. Try to bring the arms a little bit back by the ears. And again, it's fine to have the elbows bent. This time we're going to take a twist to the right, just a little small twist. Come back to center. And then exhale, take that little twist over to the left. Come to center, release the interlace of the fingers, and fold back down to your mat. Palms pressed to shins. Once again, gaze forward. Exhale, deep forward fold. Rise, circle the arms up, join the palms overhead. With your exhale, release the arms by the side. So those were half sun salutations, 2. Now we're going to do 2 sun salutation A's, followed by 2 sun salutation B's. So here's where linking that breath with the poses really starts to evolve. Inhale, we sweep the arms up, gaze up towards the sky. Exhale, slowly fold back down to the ground. Press the palms to the shins as you gaze forward. Hands down, step to plank pose. From your plank, you're going to cross the right ankle over the left, squeeze the legs together, and just a couple rounds, you're just going to gently rock forward and back, reaching the chest forward, pushing the heels back. Pause, uncross the ankles so the feet are parallel, and you're going to lower all the way down to the mat. Step the hands up by the ribs, bend the elbows, hug the outer ribs in, lift the head and shoulders, find a low cobra, a little gentle back bend. One more breath. Lower the forehead down, tuck the toes, lift yourself to high plank, take the hips up, back to downward facing dog. Let's take 2 rounds of breath here. Again, reminder, breathing in through the nose, out through the nose. Fill up on the inhale, empty out on the exhale. And then on your next inhale, bend the knees, look to the top of the mat. Walk yourself forward. Palms pressed to shins as you open the chest, and then exhale, fold. Rise tall, sweep up, look up towards the thumbs. With your exhale, once again, release the arms by the sides, roll the shoulders back, stand up tall. Mountain pose. Another one just like that. Inhale, reach up tall, lengthen up. Exhale. You can have the knees bent as you come into those forward folds. Palms to shins, look forward. Hands down, once again, step to plank. This time we're going to cross left ankle over right to kind of really squeeze inner ankles, inner knees, inner thighs together. And just 2 or 3 times, just that little rocking forward and back. Keep squeezing the legs together as you do. Pause, uncross the ankle, and again, lower yourself all the way down to the mat. So when you lower, you can either drop onto the knees, or if you have enough upper body strength, you can come down through the top of a push-up. Lift back up into cobra. Maybe a little higher or not. See how your back feels here. One more breath. Drop the forehead down, tuck the toes, push up to high plank, lift the hips up, back to downward dog. 2 breaths here. Breathing in deeply, exhaling fully. One more, just like that. Big breath in. Nice, deep, full breath out. And then bend your knees as you look forward. Walk to the top of the mat. Press the palms to the shins. Open the chest forward. Exhale, deep fold. Rise tall. Inhale. Arms sweep up. Lengthen and reach up. Exhale. Release the arms by the side. So those were 2 sun salutation A's. Now it's sun salutation B, which we always start coming into chair pose, a deep squat. So bend the knees and find that squat. So the knees can touch here, or the feet can be a little wider. Ideally, sweep the arms up to the sky by the ears, but if your shoulders are uncomfortable, you could come back to that cactus arm position we did. You could join the hands at the heart in prayer, or you could keep the hands at the hips. See what feels better on your shoulders. Don't round the spine here. Sink down a little deeper. Gaze forward. One more breath. Now we're going to straighten the legs and join the palms. Exhale. Fold back down to the ground. Palms to shins. Gaze forward. Hands down. Step to plank pose. For this round, we're going to drop onto all 4 hands and knees. We're going to round the spine for cat. Open the chest for cow. And then take the hips back up to downward facing dog. From here, you're going to lift the right leg to the sky into three-leg dog. You're going to keep it lifted. You're going to walk the hands back towards the feet. Fold over the left leg, and this is called standing splits pose. From here, you're going to pull the right knee towards the nose, round the spine for cat. And then as you lift that right leg back up to the standing splits, you gaze forward to cow. Let's do that 2 more times. Right knee comes into the nose, you round in, you lift that leg, straighten it back up and gaze forward. 1 more time. Round in, bend the knee, straighten the leg, open the chest. Now, keep the right leg lifted. You're going to walk yourself back out to three-leg dog. You're going to roll forward to a three-leg plank. Keep that right foot hovering for 1 more moment, and then drop the right foot down into high plank. Drop to all fours, hands and knees. Round in for cat. Open up for cow. Tuck the toes, let the hips rise back up. Find your downward facing dog. Left side, same thing. Take the left leg up to three-leg dog. You keep it lifted. Begin to walk the hands back towards the foot. Fold over the right leg. Lift the left leg up. Keep the hips square here, facing forward. Now, again, you're going to bend left knee to nose, round the spine, tuck the chin, cat. Extend the left leg to the sky, but gaze forward. Open the chest into cow. 2 more. Round in. Get really small. Exhale. Open up. Get a little bigger. 1 more time. Round in. Exhale. Open. Keep the leg lifted. Walk the hands back out to three-leg dog. Roll forward to a three-leg plank. Keep that left foot hovering for another moment. Drop the foot down to plank. Drop the knees down to the mat. Round in for cat. Open the chest for cow. Tuck the toes. Lift the hips back up to downward facing dog. We'll take 2 rounds of breath here. If you need to rest, if you're getting tired, you can come back to child's pose that we did first pose of this class. Otherwise, 1 more big breath in. 1 more deep breath out. Bend your knees, look forward. You're going to walk to the top of the mat. Press the palms to the shins, open the chest forward, and then exhale, fold over the legs. We rise on straight legs as we reach tall, arms meet overhead. Exhale, release the arms by the side. So that was 1 sun salutation B. We're going to do 1 more. That'll be different. Bend the knees back to chair pose. Again, take any position with the arms that feels comfortable to you. This round in chair, you're going to look down at the feet, and you're going to lift all 10 toes up off the mat. Curl them up just briefly. And then press the balls of the feet into the mat, lower the toes, and see if you can let the heels lift up. Hovering, working just a little bit on our balance. Drop the heels, sink down a little deeper if you can, open the chest a little more, and then straighten the legs, let the palms tap. Exhale, fold back down to the ground. Take that half lift inhale, palms to shins, gaze forward. Hands down, step to plank. This time we're going to lower ourselves all the way down to the mat. We're going to rise back to cobra. Broaden across the collarbone, squeeze the glutes, hug the outer ribs in. Drop the forehead down, tuck the toes. Lift the hips back up to downward facing dog. We're going to take the right leg to the sky, back to three-leg dog. This time step it forward, drop onto the left knee, and lift up and find a low lunge pose. So arms to the sky, tall spine, gaze out in front of you. Ground a little more into that right foot. Maybe sink a little deeper into that right knee. Good stretch for the hip flexors and the psoas. Now lean forward. Release the hands to the mat. You're going to pull the hips back and come into half splits. Press into the right heel. Flex the toes back to protect the knee. And fold over that right leg. Couple breaths. Be careful here in this pose not to hyperextend that right knee, so bend the knee more. And also watch the position of the hips. You want both hips facing forward, not twisting to the side. 1 more breath here. On your inhale, lift the chest. Shift forward. Rebend the right knee. Bring the foot back to the mat. Hands down. Step back to plank. and lower all the way down to the ground. Rise back up to cobra, maybe a little higher or stay low the entire time. One more breath, lower the forehead down, tuck the toes, push to plank, take the hips up, back to downward dog. Take the left leg to the sky, and then exhale, step it through. You're going to drop into the right knee, sweep the arms up by the ears, lift the spine, gaze forward, low lunge. So really press through that left foot. Maybe sink like another inch into that left knee. Lift all 10 fingers to the sky as you find length, sides of the waist and the rib cage. And then lean forward, hands down. You could use blocks here too. Shift the hips back, straighten the left leg, maybe slide, wiggle the heel forward a little more, press into the heel, curl the toes back towards the face. Don't lock out that left knee. Bend it more if you need. And then last part, folding over the leg, bowing the forehead down towards the shin. We are here in this hamstring stretch for one more breath. And then you're going to lift the chest, shift forward until the left foot comes back to the ground, hands down, step to plank, lower all the way down to the ground. Rise back up to cobra, broaden across the chest, squeeze the glutes. One more breath, lower the forehead down, tuck the toes, lift the hips all the way up now to downward facing dog. 2 breaths here. Deep breath in. Nice full breath out. Let's take one more round like that. Big deep breath in. A nice full breath out. From here, take the right leg to 3-leg dog. As you exhale, step it through and find a runner's lunge position. So the hands stay down. Again, blocks under the hands. Back leg is super engaged here. Keep the left hand on the mat. Spin the right arm to the sky and do an easy twist. So you can stay here, or you can go one more step, which would be to roll onto the pinky edge of the left foot. And then you start to sink the left hip down towards the mat, let it hover, and you reach the right arm towards the back of the mat. This is a twisted lunge position. One more breath. You're going to come all the way back to runner's lunge. Step the right leg to meet the left and plank. From here, the toes are tucked. We're in high plank. We're going to flip onto the tops of the feet, lower the pelvis to hover and open the chest forward. And this is upward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips back up to downward facing dog. So going from upward dog to downward dog. Take the left leg to the sky to 3-leg dog. Exhale, step it through. Find that runner's lunge position. Hands down. Use blocks here. Keep the right hand on the mat. Take the left arm up to the sky. Watch that left hip here in this twist. It likes to pop out to the sky. Don't let it. Stay here or roll outer edge of right foot. Start to sink that right hip to hover and reach the left arm towards the back of the mat. Come all the way back to runner's lunge. Step back to plank from here. Again, from balls of feet, we're going to flip onto tops of feet. We're going to lower so everything's hovering. The knees, the thighs, the pubic bone. Open the chest forward, upward facing dog. And then tuck the toes. Let the hips come back up again to downward facing dog. Let's take 2 rounds of breath here. A deep breath in through the nose. Nice full breath out, same way. Fill up again, inhale. Empty out, exhale. From here, you're going to walk your hands to your feet, back of the mat, and you're going to come all the way up to stand. And find a wall space if you need for a couple of balancing poses. If your balance is good, you can stay on your mat. No need to move. But for most of us, balancing poses are challenging. Maybe one side more than others. So just be near the wall so you have that as an option. We're going to start by standing on the left foot. You're going to bring the right knee to the chest, hug it in. And now you're going to start to open that right shin out to the side. Kind of like a figure 4 shape or a pigeon shape. So you're holding on to the right knee with the right hand. The right foot is flexed and you're holding on to that right foot with the left hand. So keep the leg a little away from the body to start. And we're just going to rock it side to side a little bit. kind of coaxing gradually that hip opening. Now, from here, we're going to come into eagle pose. So you're going to bend the left knee and you're going to wrap the right leg around the left, maybe 1 or 2 wraps. Maybe you can curl the toes around the ankle, or you could come onto the ball of the right foot, keep the right heel lifted for kickstand. Now, for this eagle, we're going to take the arms to the sky, interlace the fingers, and stretch the palms up. See if you can sink down a little deeper, bend both knees, open up the hips. Big hip opening pose here. Gaze forward, don't round the spine. One more breath, release the arms down, straighten the legs, uncross the legs, and just briefly kind of give them a little shake out, wash out here. And then coming into side two. So now we're going to start standing on the right leg and hug the left knee up to the chest. So use your wall if you feel shaky, if your balance is a little suspect, which it is for many of us. And then first we start in that standing pigeon pose. You flex the left foot, hold on to that foot with the right hand, support the left knee with the left hand, and just kind of rocking that knee and shin a little side to side. Now, bend the right knee first. Wrap the left leg around, single or double wrap, or again, maybe come onto the ball of that left foot and find a kickstand variation. Take the arms up to the sky. Once again, interlace the fingers, stretch the palms up. Try to bring the arms in line with the ears, gaze forward. See if you can bend a little deeper into those knees and into those hips. 2 more breaths here in this eagle variation. Normally, full eagle, you would wrap the arms up to kind of like this, but just a little variation on this today. 1 more breath, release the arms down, uncross the legs. Once again, give them a little shake out, maybe a little slap here and there just to kind of get the blood oxygen recirculating. From here, if you stepped away from your mat, come back to the top of your mat. You're going to reach the arms overhead again, let the palms join, and then exhale, fold back down to the ground. Step to plank, drop to the knees, and come lay on your back. So make sure you're not super close to a wall. We're going to do a little core work. And the second part, you're going to bring the legs out into a straddle position. So you don't want to be, kicking the wall or a piece of furniture. So just make sure you have a little space on either side. First, though, we're going to start with scissor legs. So you're going to bring the legs up to the sky. Knees can be bent. And you're going to start scissoring the legs up and down. Point the toes, cross one ankle over the other. So you can go leg high all the way down to low, or you can go more medium to low, or you can stay really low the whole time, which is a little more intense, a little more work for the abdominals. 1 more. All right, now come to about midway. Now here's where we find that straddle. Open the legs into a straddle, not too wide, be comfortable here. You want to flex the feet deeply, so we're kind of really externally rotating the legs here. From here, we're going to lift the head and shoulders, reach the arms between the knees, gaze forward, and we're going to pulse here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower head and shoulders down, bring the legs back up. That was round 1. We're going to do 3 all together. Point the toes and start the scissoring of the legs. You choose where you want to take this. Another thing you could do here in these scissors is you could sit on the hands. So you could slide the hands under the butt and kind of sit on them. That kind of helps, especially if this bothers your low back. It gives you a little more support, a little more height. Maybe try that next round. 1 more. And then again, find that midway point. Open the legs as wide as feels good without straining. Flex the feet. Find that external rotation of the legs. Head and shoulders rise. Arms reach between the knees. Gaze forward. Pulse it out. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last round. Maybe this is the time you sit on the hands. Point the toes. Again, this will be a slightly shorter round of these scissors because the legs are tired. The core maybe a little sore, a little tired too. 1 more. And again, you come back up to that straddle. If you're sitting on the hands, slide them out. Last part, lift up, reach the hands between the knees. This time just for 5, 4, 3, 2, One, you're going to lower all the way down. You're going to bend the knees, hug the knees in, wrap the arms around the lower legs, and rock a little right and rock a little left, side to side. All right, cross one ankle over the other. You're going to roll yourself all the way up. You're going to find your way back to tabletop, back to all fours, hands and knees. And we're going to take just one round of cat-cow, round in. Exhale, open up, tuck the toes, lift the hips. We are back to downward facing dog, and we are back to that breathing. So sometimes when we do standing poses, we're not flowing, we're not linking poses as we did with that standing pigeon eagle, and now especially with the core work, we tend to lose track of the breath because we have other things going on, and we're not actively flowing in the yoga poses, and we're not linking the poses up. So now get back to that breath that we've been practicing. Big inhale and deep exhale. And on your next inhale, lift the right leg to the sky. Exhale, step it through, ground the back foot, and you're going to rise up to warrior two pose here. So take a wide leg stance, right knee bending right over the ankle, back leg is straight, but the toes of that left foot are slightly angled inward. Spine is tall, arms right out from the shoulders. From here, turn the right palm to the sky. You're going to sweep it up and back to reverse warrior. And then inhale, come back up to warrior two. Exhale to reverse. Two more like that. Inhale, tall spine. Exhale, find the side bend. One more round. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, reverse. Let's hold here 2 or 3 breaths. Bending a little deeper if you can into the right knee. Expanding the stretch in the right side. From here, stay in the side bend just briefly. Straighten the right knee, and we're now in reverse triangle pose. Come all the way up on straight legs. Maybe have that block handy. Maybe take a slightly shorter stance. Reach out long through the right arm. Take your time here, reaching like you're trying to grab something and can't quite reach it. And then when you get all that length, you drop the right hand down, maybe to the foot, ankle, shin, or a block. Take the left arm to the sky. And this is triangle pose. So you want to tuck that left hip under a little. You want to open right side of the chest to the sky. Maybe look up, the left hand. Here, the shoulders. Bring them away from the ears. One more breath. From here, you're going to bend the right knee and lift all the way back into warrior two. And then from here, circle the hands down to the ground. Step to plank. Just hold this plank a breath. And then take the hips up to downward facing dog. Take a breath there, big breath in, deep breath out. And then left side, take the left leg skyward to 3-leg dog. Exhale, step it forward, ground both feet, and you're going to bring yourself all the way up into warrior two pose. Take a couple moments here to set this up. Check your alignment, make any adjustments you need. Grounding firmly through both feet, activating through both legs, distributing the weight equally between the bent knee and the straight leg. Now we flow a little, take the left arm up, sweep it up and back, find that side bending reverse warrior pose. Inhale, back up to warrior two, arms to a T. Exhale, sweep it back. 2 more like that, warrior two, inhale. Reverse warrior, exhale. Final round, warrior two, tall spine. Exhale, side bend. Let's stay here now. Couple breaths. Maybe expand that side bend. Breathing in between each of the ribs, intercostal muscles, creating space there. Stay in the side bend. Straighten the left knee without locking it. Find reverse triangle, legs are straight. Come up on straight legs, arms to a T again. Maybe here you wiggle that right foot in a little, then slightly narrow the stance. Reach out long through the left arm. Take your time. So you want to get as much length in that left side as you can. And then drop down. Again, use a block under the left hand. Peel the chest open and maybe gaze up towards the right hand. Be careful not to lock out that left knee here. Take one more big breath here in this triangle position. And then you're going to rebend the left knee. And come all the way back into warrior two, nice tall spine. And now from here, circle the hands down to the ground, step to plank. And again, let's hold this plank now 2 breaths. A deep breath in, full breath out. 1 more, breathe in. Exhale, breathe out, and then lift the hips up. Come back to downward facing dog. Let's take a couple easy breaths here. Breathing in and out. 1 more. And now bend your knees, look between the hands, and then walk yourself all the way forward. Bring the hands to the hips. Once again, rise up all the way, standing tall. From here, you're going to take a big step out to face the side of your mat. Walk the feet wide, turn the toes out. Drop, don't fall like I almost did. Drop the hands to the knees or thighs, and you're going to bend the knees and sink down into goddess pose. And from here, you can let the shoulders kind of hunch up towards the ears a little. And we're just going to sway here a little side to side and bend knees. It's kind of creating a little space, movement in the outer hips here. Also strengthening the quads and the knees. Just a couple more breaths in this kind of swaying goddess position. 1 more breath. All right, from here, straighten the legs, come up to stand, turn the toes in. Bring the hands to the hips, squeeze the shoulder blades together as you open the chest to the sky. And then slowly begin to come into a forward fold. Here's where having that block within reach would be helpful. Keep the right hand at the right hip. Drop the left hand right down the middle, right in line with the sternum. You can be on the fingertips or flatten the palm or use a block under that hand. Now, keep the hips facing forward. From the waist up, you're going to start to turn open to your right. Twist this wide leg forward fold. You can let the right hand stay at the hip, or you could take it up to the sky here at this point. 1 more breath. Slowly turn forward, and we're just going to change. Drop the right hand in front of you. Use your block, tent on the fingers. Left hand finds left hip or low back even. Sometimes having the low back kind of helps a little more to square the hips off, and then you're going to turn to your left. Keep the left hand where it is. Reach it up tall. 2 breaths here in this twist. Grounding through the feet to really activate both legs here. And then turn forward, both hands down now. Gaze out in front of you, and then fold right down the middle. Maybe hands to the mat, bend the elbows. Or again, you could have blocks under the hands or a block here. Don't strain the knees here. So if you feel tightness in the kneecaps or behind the knees, that's your signal to bend the knees more. You could also step the feet in a little closer and take a narrower stance. 1 more breath. All right, slowly lift the chest. From here, begin to walk the feet in one at a time. You can just kind of step it in a little bit, one at a time, or both together until the feet are parallel. Bend the knees a little and slowly bring yourself all the way up to stand. From here, return to the top of the mat, facing forward. Sweep the arms up again, let the palms join, and then exhale, fold back down to the ground. Step to plank pose, and you're going to lower all the way down onto the mat, but instead of cobra, we're going to come up into sphinx pose. So press down through elbows, forearms, hands are still shoulder distance, legs are long, press the tops of the feet into the mat. Try to isometrically pull the elbows back towards the torso, lift up from the low back. So you don't want a rounded spine here. You don't want to be looking down at the ground. You want to be gazing straight forward without thrusting the chin forward. 1 more breath. All right, now you're going to lower down. You're going to stack one hand on top of the other and bend the elbows out to the sides of your mat. Then lower the forehead to rest on that hand stack. You're going to bend the right knee and flex the foot. And then just little lifts. You're going to lift that right knee up and down a few times. So this is a nice one for the hamstrings and the glutes here. So it's not a big lift. You're not going to get much lift. It might just be an inch or so. Keep the foot flexed. So flexing the foot's going to Help engage the back of the leg. And now keep the knee lifted, flex the foot more, pulse it out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the right knee down, straighten the leg, come right into side 2, bend the left knee, flex the foot, and just those little knee lifts up and down. Small movement. Small is all you need though to make it effective, to strengthen, again, hamstring, glute, back of knee a little bit too. Keep the knee lifted, flex the foot a little deeper, and pulse. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower the knee down, straighten the leg, lift the forehead off the hands, sweep the arms now back by the hips, and bring the forehead all the way down to the mat. We're going to come into locust pose, and we'll do this in 3 parts. First part, this is a slightly deeper back bend, by the way, than cobra or sphinx that we just did. So we'll do it in 3 parts. We'll add in a little at a time. First, you're going to lift just the head and shoulders, and then float the arms up, spin the palms in to face the outer thighs. Keep the legs grounded for this first part. For most students, most practitioners, it's far easier to lift the chest than it is to lift the legs, as you'll see in a moment. One more breath. Lower all the way down. Rest the forehead there. Now, part 2. You're going to keep the chest and forehead grounded. You're going to lengthen the legs first, point the toes, pretend someone's behind you, gently tugging your ankles, holding onto your ankles and gently tugging the legs back to create more length. Now, lift the legs up. Most of you should be able to at least lift the tops of the feet, probably the ankles, maybe the shins, maybe the kneecaps. One more breath. All right, lower the legs down. So observing between the two, it was probably much easier for most of you to lift the upper body than the lower body. That is very common. That is not unusual at all. All right, let's put those two together. Full pose. First, head and shoulders lift. Add the arms, float the palms up. Now add the legs. Full locust pose. Point the toes a little more. Lengthen the legs back. See if you can lift the head and shoulders a little more. One more breath. All right, lower all the way down. This time, turn one cheek to the mat. Bend both knees, flex both feet, and let the feet begin to drop side to side in a windshield wiper movement, which is a nice thing to release the low back. Couple more, just let the feet wobble side to side. One more breath. All right, release the legs long, turn the forehead back to the mat. Step the hands in by the ribs. Once again, bend the elbows, tuck the toes. Lift one more time in this class to high plank. Holding here again, 2 breaths. Creating length and strength. And then take the hips up one more time in this class to downward dog. Just 2 easy breaths here. Still with that breath, so it's a little softer now. We're done with all the standing poses. We're going to be coming down to the mat for the remainder of this class. But one more breath here in downward dog. And then roll forward, drop to the knees. Come have a seat, but don't get your blanket out yet because it really wouldn't do much good to sit on it at this moment. We're going to come into reverse table and take some tricep dips here. So you want to have the feet about hips distance, knees bent. Hands in line with the hips. So one other last little thing, if you're experiencing a lot of wrist pain, carpal tunnel, or wrist strain, which many people do, having blocks under the hands can really take a lot of the strain off the wrists. All right, otherwise, lift the chest, gaze forward, and you're going to lift the hips up and come into reverse tabletop. So the only 4 parts of the body on the mat right now are the soles of both feet and the palms. Gaze forward, and now here's that tricep dip. So you're going to bend the elbows, and as you're going to sink the hips to hover like an inch or 2 above the mat. And then you're slowly going to lift the hips and straighten the arms and gaze out in front of you. We're going to do 3 more of those, slow and controlled. Bend the elbows so the real bony part of the elbows is like poking out as you let the hips hover. And then just as slowly lift the hips back up and straighten the arms. 2 more times. This is a nice way to strengthen the triceps without using any like hand weights or any kind of weighted equipment. Lift up, and then one more time, bend Let the hips hover, feel those triceps working, and then lift back up to reverse tabletop. We're going to hold here a few breaths. You can keep looking out in front of you. You can maybe look up towards the sky. If your neck feels okay, you can let the head fall back, and maybe that allows you to open the heart a little more, the chest, lift the hips up a fraction more. One more breath. All right, slowly lower all the way down. All right, here is where you could retrieve, if you're using one, a folded blanket, nice firm cushion, and also a yoga block. So if you're going to sit on your blanket or cushion, get it in place. Just kind of gives you a little more support under your seat and lifts you up a little more. So we're going to come back to a straddle like we did laying on the back before for the core work. So again, if it's uncomfortable on your knees or your hips or any part of the leg to be too wide out, then you kind of narrow it a little bit. You can come in a little narrower, make it comfortable for you. And before we fold, we're going to go over each leg and then down the middle. Have the block nearby, it won't do much good. You could actually use it on the side. So have it within reach in case you decide to use it. Before we fold up, take a moment to observe the position of the legs. You want to keep, like we did on our backs, the feet really flexed, toes pointing up, and this time instead of externally rotating, strive for more of a neutral position so the kneecaps and thighs point straight up. So you don't want them rolling in. Okay, having a little external rotation is fine. That's okay. But again, we kind of want to go in between and we don't want them to start to cave in, roll in. All right, now you're going to turn slightly over the right leg. Lengthen up from the spine and then slowly start to fold. Keep the chest open. So right now, for a point of reference, I'm kind of looking at the top of my foot. Walk the hands out. And then maybe if you can keep all that opening in the chest, avoid rounding the spine, you can start to drop in. So you could use the block here. You could place it like on the kneecap or further up or further down the leg and have a nice soft spot for your forehead to land. So you could use the blocks there. If you have two blocks, you could stack them higher. Another nice prop to use in these deep forward folds, we don't have one with us, or if you do have one, you could use it, is a yoga strap or a cloth belt. You could loop it around the ball of the foot and hold one end in each hand and kind of use that to gently guide you in to this stretch. And you want it, again, gently is the word. You don't want to force the forward fold. Hamstrings take time to open. You have to be really patient. It doesn't happen in a matter of weeks or even months. One more breath. Slowly walk yourself up. Turn to center briefly, and then right over to the left side. So again, just kind of recheck the position of the legs in the straddle. Toes really flex, point up, knees up, or very slightly externally rotate. You just don't want them starting to roll in and internally rotate. Angle yourself over the leg, sit up tall, and then exhale, begin to walk out. And again, you can employ that block. You could place it somewhere on that left leg, have a landing spot for your forehead or your chest. Don't round the spine here. So it's fine to drop down a little deeper, but don't round the spine, no tucking chin to chest. Keep the chest open. Keep that length going in the low back. One more breath, walk the hands in. And now you're going to come to center. So here's where the block would really be helpful. Start with at the high setting. First, bring the hands back in line with the outer hips, tent onto the fingers, and open the chest to the sky. So this is to get as much length in the chest, opening in the chest, and length in the spine as possible before you start coming forward here in this wide leg forward fold. So the block, you could have it there to pop into your forehead, or you could walk it in closer and put it under the chest, or you don't have to use it at all. Fold down the middle, maybe walk the fingers out a little more. One other thing I like to do here, especially to help keep that positioning, that alignment of the legs, bring my hands to the inner arches of the feet, and then you kind of use the hands there to kind of help keep the knees facing upward, or that again, that very, very slight external rotation. Take 2 more breaths here in this wide leg forward fold. 1 more breath, slowly lift the chest, walk the hands in till you're sitting up tall, and then bring the hands outside the knees and bring the legs in close together. Let's keep the right leg long, foot flexed. Let's step the left knee in, bend the left knee and step the foot in close. Wrap both arms around that lower left shin and hug the left thigh to the belly. Sit up tall. Keep the right arm wrapped around that shin. Let's take this into a little seated twist. Turn to your left, drop the left hand behind you, and keep that right leg. Don't forget about it. Don't let it go soft and floppy. Flex the foot, push out through the sole of the foot, activate the leg a little bit longer. Being mindful here not to over twist the spine. If you're meeting resistance, tightness, anything in the low back, back out of the twist a bit. 1 more breath, slowly turn forward, change sides, slide the left leg to straight, bend the right knee, step the foot and ground the foot. Hug briefly that thigh towards the chest. Turn over to your right now, keeping the left leg working a little bit longer. Lengthen through the spine, inhale. Perhaps turn a bit deeper, exhale or not. Again, depending on how this is feeling in your back. 1 more breath, turn forward and come lay all the way on your back. So you keep your block nearby, but you can move your blanket or cushion if you were using it to the side. I'm going to take 2 bridge poses. They're going to be, first one's going to be a little different. First, you're going to bring the soles of the feet to touch knees wide. So this is reclined butterfly pose. All right, sometimes we do it on the back. Most often we do it in a seat. It's a hip opener, knee stretch, inner thigh stretch. But we're going to take this into a little gentle back bend, a little bridge pose. So keep pressing the feet together. See if you can scoot in close enough here that you can tap your heels. Press down through the palms and forearms, and then lift the hips up into a butterfly bridge. So hips are not going to lift too high here. So that's why using the block probably wouldn't make sense, because you may or may not have enough space to get the block under your low back. But we're only going to hold this 2 more breaths, just to get a little hip opener in as well as this back bend. 1 more breath. All right, slowly lower down. All right, you can choose here. If you liked that variation, you can do it again, just come back up. Or if you want a more traditional bridge, then you bring the feet to the mat, feet parallel, knees point forward, and then lift up. So either a second butterfly bridge or a more traditional bridge. And if you're in the traditional bridge, then you can wedge that block under the sacrum, lower medium height. And just about 4 more breaths here, just about 4 more. You can lower down early if you want, if you don't want to hold. Otherwise, 2 more breaths, just 2. And last one. All right, lift the hips, take the block aside, come all the way down onto the back. You're going to hug the right knee into the chest, take the left leg straight, and let's twist over to your left. Press the shoulders into the mat and turn left side of the torso over to the right. You do an easy recline twist for about 3 breaths as we begin to wind this practice down. Slow the breath down. Allow the body to recover and restore. Take another breath here on the side. And then roll onto the back and change sides. Right leg goes straight. Left knee bends, hugs into the chest. Twist over to your right. Round the shoulder blades and start to turn the upper body only to a degree that feels good. So here another pose. Please watch the neck. Don't crank the neck to look over the shoulder if it doesn't feel good. Take 1 more moment here. And then come on to the back. 1 more thing before we take a brief rest. Shavasana, which is traditional at the end of most yoga classes. Slide both legs straight. And then take both arms long overhead. You're going to point the toes. Reach out through all 10 fingers. Lengthen through right and left side, front and back of the body. Lengthen, full body stretch. Take a big breath in. This time, open the mouth and exhale. And let's do that 1 more time. get really long, really stretch both directions, get so much length, and exhale, release. Now, release the arms by the sides. Maybe walk the arms a little away from you, open up a little more space. You can let the feet drift out to the side. You can separate the feet a little bit. So take a moment here to settle in, make sure everything's really relaxed here, really comfortable, not holding any tension now. Now everything is soft. Everything is relaxed from head to toe and every point in between. Allow the eyes to drift shut, the mind to be quiet, the breath to be natural. We're resting here quietly, just a bit of time to relax and restore and recover. Slowly begin to take some deeper, slightly deeper breaths. Begin maybe to wiggle the fingers and toes really lightly, maybe gently circle the ankles, the wrists around, maybe even very gently, mindfully turn the head so slightly side to side, just inviting these small, subtle movements back into the body in a manner that feels good to begin to move that energy through the body and slowly bring it back to consciousness. From here, gently bend the knees, step the feet to the mat, and you're going to roll to one side, pick one. Slide the bottom arm long by the ear and rest briefly the side of the head on the upper arm. And then lift the head. Gently bring yourself up. Find an easy seated position, just a cross-legged position. Maybe close the eyes for just another moment or so, sitting upright, but still feeling this restful, quiet place. And then when you're ready, open the eyes. And thank you for joining me in this practice. Hope it was fun. It was helpful. Good overall, again, practice, getting a little bit of this and that done in addition to the flowing and the breath. We worked on the hamstrings, we worked on the hips, we did some twists, worked on the back, some back bends. So just a good, and that's what most yoga classes are like. It's kind of an overall thing. Once in a while, I'll do a public class where we're really focused on hip openers or shoulder openers, but it's always also combining in those flows, those sun salutations as well. So again, thanks for joining me and hope you can make it to another class really soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.